So I've made a few changes to I guess my relationship with Raid over the last few weeks, and it's drastically changed the way I feel about playing the game. I'm back to a place now where I'm just enjoying the game with no asterisk next to it, really. And I'm even to the point where I'm amused again by the announcements. You know, we did the video about the mythical champions yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. Despite that there's a lot of horse shit in that video, it was just a lot of fun. And it's been a minute since I've felt like that. So I thought I would just share a little bit about the decisions that I've made as they pertain to the game, and hopefully help some people, because obviously I see a lot of frustration in my comments as well. A lot of the things that I say seem to resonate with a lot of people. I understand the perpetual frustration with Raid and Plarium. So I just thought I would share a little bit and maybe help some of you get back to this place, because it's fun. It's fun to be here. It's fun to enjoy the game again. So the first one that's not going to apply to many of you, although it feels like it might, because there was about 12,000 people in the content creator program when I left, it seemed like. But leaving the content creator program was a great decision. On top of the fact that I wasn't really engaging with it at all. You know, I wasn't giving away the gems every month. The resources they send me for being in it go to my old main account. I don't use a test server. I don't really care about getting the news early. If Plarium came to me and wanted to work together on something, I would have said no. I didn't really have any interest in working with them. They probably don't have any interest in working with me either, so that was probably very mutual. I just felt like the only reason for me to be in it was to say I was in it, and I don't give a shit about being in it. So on top of that, it was kicking my day off every day with being annoyed. I was annoyed with Raid before I even logged into Raid, because I had to go into that Discord to clear notifications and see the same old announcements for the same old summon events and the same old fusions and the same old bullshit that was happening every single day. And that was kind of annoying. And then go into the content creator chat and see the negative feedback for everything they're doing or not doing, and them taking 0% of the feedback. And you know what I mean? It was just like, before I even loaded the game, I was already annoyed at the game in Plarium. So even not like actively, not like day ruining, but just like it's a little thing that in my head to kick off my day with Raid. I start my relationship with the game off every day kind of annoyed by it already. You know what I mean? Not good. So that was a big one for me, was leaving the program. That almost immediately made me start enjoying the game a little bit better. But since then, I've also made a couple of adjustments to the way that I feel about certain things in the game. And I think part of it's going to be understanding what goes on in this game. What is the culture that Plarium has created in Raid. And when you can kind of zoom out and see it, it kind of changes things for you. So what Plarium has done with this game, they've created this sense of scarcity. I used to do Facebook ads for small businesses for a little bit, and I stopped doing it because I didn't like it. I didn't like a lot of the things I was being taught by the people I was being taught by. And one of the things is false scarcity, creating this idea that there's not as much of something to make people feel like they have to have it. And Plarium does that. Make no mistake about it. Plarium knows how to market. That's why they're the #1 mobile game. Because they marketed their way to being the #1 mobile game. It's not the best mobile game, by far. But they marketed their way there. They use these techniques on us as well. It's not just about growing the player base and getting new downloads. It's also about the kind of manipulating the way we engage with the game. So everything they do makes you feel like if you don't do it, you're missing out. There's a fusion every month, and most of the fusions are pretty lackluster, but every now and then they drop a Brogni. So you better just go ahead and do every fusion in case it's a Brogni situation. You know what I mean? These events and tournaments that are always going on. And you know what I mean? The stuff down here is you know, very valuable. It's always the big shiny stuff down at the bottom. This one isn't so bad, but for the most part, the events that they can make the money off of, like a summon rush, this is what the stuff is going to look like. the portal's glowing all the time lately, right? Portal's glowing all the time. So they've done this thing where they create this idea that you got to do everything. There's always something to do, and if you don't do it, you're missing out. But also what they do is they do this thing where no matter what you engage with, no matter what you participate in, something's coming in the next couple of days that's going to make you regret it. There's always a summon event going on now. So extra legendary, that's a killer event. Some of you were saving shards and decided to use them today, and you used all your ancients. Well, in a few days, there's going to be a new reason to have ancients. And if you didn't pull a double legendary today, the idea is that you're going to regret using your ancients because, well, shit, if I'd have just held on to my ancients, I could have gotten this guaranteed legendary. Or I could have summoned on this 2x and probably gotten a legend. You know what I mean? There's always something to miss out on, but there's also always something to regret by participating. You can't win. They beat you down in this way where you really can't win. Sometimes you'll pull the legendary and you'll be on a little high for a little bit, but it'll go quick because there's another summon event rolling around that's going to be a good one, and you just use all your shards. So I guess you got to spend money to get more shards because you need to participate in this. You know what I mean? It's this vicious cycle that they've created where, again, as the player, you really can't win. They take all of the tactics that most of these mobile games use that are not always in and of themselves shady and wrong, right? I have no problem with game developers wanting us to spend money in their game. That's how they make their money. I have no problem with them presenting us opportunities to spend money and maybe even sometimes tempting us to spend money, right? Dropping, the flash packs that Raid does, which I've never seen one that was even remotely tempting, but the concept I don't necessarily hate. I hate it more because Plarium does it on top of everything else they do, but the concept itself I don't have a huge problem with, you know what I mean? If there was actual value there, but again, those packs are always awful. But you have to be aware of that you really are not going to win. Unless you're spending a lot of money, you're not going to get to participate in everything they do. And it doesn't matter if you do participate. Unless you participate in everything they do and you're spending thousands of dollars a month, at some point throughout the month, you're going to regret participating in one thing because it kept you from participating in the other. So pulling back from that a little bit, the big one for me is fusions. I have stopped caring about fusions for this account. I think I tried to do one when the account was newer and we just didn't have the account power to do it. And every fusion since then, I've gotten a little bit less interested to where this one, I'm not even entirely sure what he does. We might have looked at him a few days ago. I didn't commit any of it to memory, but you can play this game without doing these fusions. Even if there's a really good fusion. Plarium has inadvertently put this game in a place where it's playable, regardless of these fusions. They've added so many champions at such a fast rate that they inevitably got it to a place where you're probably going to pull someone that is going to allow you to build a team to do whatever the thing is that you're trying to do. Whereas, 3 years ago, the game was in a place where if you didn't have a cold heart or you didn't have a certain handful of champs, there were just things you weren't going to be able to do. That's not really the case anymore. There's multiple solutions to most problems in this game, perhaps barring arena, high-level arena at this point. But you don't need these fusions. And again, I think a lot of people, myself included for a long time, have been convinced that you do. My philosophy on fusions for a long time was any opportunity you get to add a legendary to the roster, you should. Even if you don't have plans for them right now. You never know when they'll get buffed. You never know when new content will come, blah, 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 blah. And I think the philosophy itself is fine. I think that's sound for most games. For Raid, it's not feasible because that's one of their crutches. That's one of the things they do to have something going on every month. They don't bother innovating or coming up with other shit for us to do. They just do a fusion every month. It's easy. It's copy paste. The foundation's already set. All they got to do is put a new champ in the slot and up the values for the rewards, like up the point thresholds occasionally to make it more difficult so that you can't settle in, you can't plan for it specifically, because maybe it's going to take 6 sacreds, maybe it's going to take 7 for the summon rush. I don't know what the point threshold, I don't know how good they're going to pretend like they think this champ is, so I can't really plan for the fusion, you know what I mean? You don't need the fusions. If you see a fusion that you like and you want to do it, go for it. But this idea that you have to do every fusion is soul crushing, man. It's you spend your whole time playing raid worrying about the fusion. While it's live, you're grinding, you're in this event tab constantly, and all right, I've got to do 1200 green shards if I want to get through this summon rush, and then I've got to hang on to my champ frags because I got a champ chase coming, and then artifact enhancement, I'm going to need like probably 9 million to get through it and get these frags. So I've got to do a lot of grinding, and thankfully there's a dungeon divers live, so I can go grind a little bit of dungeons and get. It's all you're thinking about. And then you finish the fusion, and it's like, all right, cool, I finished it. And before you can even get it built, the next fusion's announced. And now you've got to scramble to, well, shit, all right, I got to hang on every single shard I get. Maybe I should buy one of these shard packs. It's so shitty. It's such a shitty way to manage the game. And if you try to keep up with it, it's going to burn you out. It's going to burn you out. It's not fun. It's not fun. On top of that, these events and tournaments tabs, this is the only mobile game I've played in the decade that I've been playing mobile games where the event tabs are brutal grinds that are net negative. I've talked about this quite a few times before. Every single one of these events, if you come in here and finish it, if you get here in this Dungeon Divers event, you will spend more in energy, gems, and time than all of this shit is worth. It's not worth it. And they're never worth it. The events are never, ever worth it. This looks really good. This looks like a lot of valuable shit. You have to spend a lot of sacreds to get this shit. 7,500, and a sacred is, so what's that? 5,000 would be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Is that 15 sacreds? And I mean, it fluctuates now, but I think I see a lot of packs where sacreds are what, roughly $30? One sacred's roughly $30. You're spending way more than you're getting. Every time. This is the only game that's ever done that. If you load up Summoner's War and go in the events tab, you're gonna be blown away at how much shit they're giving you for casually playing the game. You don't even have to grind them. All you really gotta do is show up and play every day. Use a little bit of energy in the dungeons, make your rounds, do your dailies, and they're different, they're interesting, they're fun, they make you engage with the game in a different way. Most other mobile games do that. Most other mobile games use the events tab as an excuse to give you fun things to do and to shower you with rewards for doing them. Raid uses it as another excuse to make you brutally grind something and feel like you're missing out if you don't. It's just another way to beat you down. And then the tournaments tab is really just a reskinned events tab, except now you gotta grind against someone else to get anything of any real value, right? This looks good because it's Soul Chase, and we know how hard those are to come by. Spider Tournament, 4-star chicken is the top reward for finishing it. And then here you get an Ancient Shard and a set of 6-star Relentless Gear, which is not meta. It's always been the way to obtain Relentless Gear, so that's what's always here. But no one's using, it's not meta, it's not game changing, it's fine. It's, you know what I mean? There's some champs it's okay on, but like, it's not like Violent Runes and Summoner's War. It's not meta. They want you to grind your ass off for an Ancient. The global rewards on these tournaments sometimes that people are just spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to win a fucking legendary book. You know what I mean? They've done such a good job of conditioning everybody to feel like they have to engage with all of this shit to the fullest. And it's not healthy. It's not good for you. And it's not fun. So my advice, I guess, if you're looking for advice, what I've done that's helped me get back to a place where I'm genuinely enjoying the game, I'm genuinely enjoying being plugged in to the scene again and keeping up with the news and engaging with some of the other content. You know how long it's been since I watched a fucking raid video? I watched Ash's raid video that I reacted to the other day, and that's the first raid video I've watched, I think, since I was doing the needless censoring videos. Like, I don't watch them. I don't care what's going on. You know what I mean? I like a lot of the other creators. There was a period where I found myself watching Ash semi-regularly, even when I wasn't watching anyone else. It was like if Darth or Ash uploaded, I'd watch it. But other than that, I didn't care. And then it got to a point where I didn't watch any raid content because I'm annoyed. I'm already annoyed. Why am I going to watch more content? I know what they're doing. It sucks, right? But detaching. Stop giving a shit about these fusions. Stop feeling like you got to participate in these events. The Path events, the Deck of Fate events, they all suck. They're all bullshit, okay? They're all bullshit. Give it a week. Give it a week where you don't worry about the fusion, you don't look at the events and tournaments tab, and you just play this fucking game. And if the portal's glowing and you check it and you like the summon event you see, do it. Don't worry about regretting it later. Don't worry about saving your shards for a fusion that's upcoming. Just detach from all that extra shit and play the game. I promise you, you'll feel differently after a week of doing that. And maybe you'll miss a fusion over it, and you know what? It'll be okay. You don't need it. You don't need the fusion, all right? I think that'll help a lot of people reset. Maybe even don't log in for a few days. You know, I took a break for a few weeks from raid, and I think that helped a lot. That helped me get to a place maybe where I could reset a little quicker. I gave it some thought. I left the program, and then I've sort of been making tweaks to the way I approach the game the last few days, and it's made a big difference for me. So if you're finding yourself perpetually frustrated, if this game is more of a bummer for you to log into every day than not, then maybe just try ignoring all of this overlay shit and just playing the game, working on your teams, pushing Doom Tower. Whatever it is that you need to be working on, grinding your missions, you know what I mean? Some of these things that are grindy, that used to be fun grindy, aren't fun grindy anymore because everything in the game is grindy. And if you try to do everything in the game that's grindy, it's gonna just beat you down and suck the fun out of it. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna get out of here. I reckon this is long enough. If you've got any thoughts you wanna add to this in the comments, I would be interested to hear maybe what some of you are doing or have done that have put you in a place where you can enjoy the game a little more, whether it was a break or some sort of tweak in the way that you think about the game or approach to the game or engage with the game, any of that. I'd be interested to hear some other thoughts from some of you that have been around for a while that have had these kinds of moments. I think it's a pretty interesting conversation to have, and I'm interested in the comments on this one. So that's it. I'm getting out of here. I hope it helps someone. Hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble, if nothing else. And we'll see you tomorrow.